Mark Passio. His work it stands alone as far as long form content that has zero fat in it. It's all protein for your brain. I first encountered his work on the internet, but then I had an opportunity to meet him in reality, not as an audience member. No. I can't just go and sit in the audience. I said, hey, can we film this? And we filmed the Natural Law event back in 2012. And then we did Demystifying the Occult in 2014. These were both shot in Connecticut. The first one was at the Yale Hotel. It was like a Yale Hilton. And then the second one was closer to my home base so we could get bigger production capabilities there. So I was thoroughly impressed that if you're looking for truth and answers and cutting to the chase, like let's cut to the chase. What needs to go on here? We need freedom in order to exist, and freedom and entrepreneurship are symbiotic. One needs the other to exist. So we have this place where we can exchange ideas freely, we can exchange products and services freely amongst each other, either as agorists or using products like Federal Reserve notes or other forms of currency. It's about offering utility to the market. Mark has always offered huge utility to the market in a way that I don't think the market has yet come to appreciate. And yet he stalwartly continues to unfold it each week. Now that he got back on YouTube, thanks Mark for putting it back on YouTube. 2-hour presentations, what on earth is happening, those are the updates, but really you got to dig into all of his long form content presentations, and that's really what it's all about. You could go back to the first episode of what on earth is happening, and you could listen all the way through, and that's the proper way to listen to it, but you can also catch the gist from didn't you just have a 1-hour natural law documentary last year, Mark?
Yes, it's called Mark Passio and the Science of Natural Law, about an hour and 8 minutes, and it covers the very basics of natural law from an occult perspective and how it is directly related with human freedom.
And you guys might wonder what one does right before a big presentation like this. We're having over 1,000 people register for this presentation. I was watching Mark with Greg Reese right before here, and I really appreciated that interview, Mark. It gives a very large amount of depth to Greg's work and who he is and what he brings to the table. And your interview skills are coming a long way too. You've always been good at articulating your own thoughts, but now you're like bringing it all together by getting people like Benny and Greg on there and giving them a chance on your platform to express these ideas. And you're also helping them refine their own ideas, because I think it's a responsibility of those of us who have an audience. We want to get better at what we're doing, not worse. We want to have more accuracy, not less accuracy. And so as we come into contact with influencers and colleagues like Greg, you want to help him sharpen his game. So here's the tighter definition, and you're a little ambiguous here. And he also had an amazing amount of knowledge to relate to you, too. And so you're a good listener and learner to this day. You're a self-educator to this day. So let's go back in time a little bit before the Mark Passio of What on Earth is Happening. What was your first paid gigs? Did you mow grass, or what did you do?
Well, my first ever paid job of any kind, I was a busboy at an Italian restaurant in Wildwood, New Jersey, where my family had a shore house. My very first job ever.
Well, that is a great job to deal with people and sometimes the shortcomings of people, because they have certain needs and urgencies that might not be in line with expectations of the restaurant. And starting at the bottom there, how was the experience? Did you enjoy getting the paycheck or a share of the tips, or was it a lot of hard work, or how did it work out for you?
Yeah, you know what? That's actually my second job. Now that I'm recalling, my first job, I was actually a prep person in a kitchen in a diner on the same island of Wildwood. And I was there to basically make any of the toasted products that were ordered, from the customers. So it's like I made toast, bagels, English muffins, things like that. That was my very first job. And then I was a busboy in another area of the island further down the boardwalk.
See, I think that's good experience because it's practical experience. It's where you can learn to show up and have responsibility and discipline and accountability and integrity, but you also get to eat. And I've done prep cooking, I've done sous chef cooking, I've done all cooking sort of jobs back in the day. Later today, we're going to talk to Ryan Christian. He's a legit chef, so we can get into the cooking show mode later. But what did you do after that? Because obviously you didn't stay in the busboy or prep cook position very long.
Well, I guess you could say my first real professional position after I went to college at the University of Pennsylvania. I did not graduate. I came out of there and I went into the tech sector. I started working at a an independent company that my cousin owned, and gave me an opportunity during sort of the .com craze, when the internet was really first becoming popular. My cousin had, an index site that predated Yahoo. And before Yahoo came around, like, people were doing like independent, like citywide, business indexing. And he had a company and did that on his own. And he asked me to come to work for him. I got a lot of experience doing that. And then, unfortunately, when the big search engines came around, like Yahoo and then eventually Google, that business model unfortunately did not sustain itself. And he folded that up and went on to do other things. But then after that, I started working for a company that did content in, believe it or not, the adult sector, and it was called IMI Network, and I worked in their internet division, processing images actually. I did that for about a year and a half until I met some people through them that offered me a position doing websites that were definitely of a much more professional nature and an educational nature actually. So I actually did websites for a college in New Jersey called Burlington County Community College. And that company was MediaCraft, and we did a lot of independent websites for people that wanted their content online at the time. Got a lot of knowledge and experience on internet technology at that point. And I think that really, really paved the way for what I do now, because the technological know-how that I gained at those positions really helped. It really carried over into content creation and online publishing, which is the biggest part of my work. And really, as content creators who are trying to reach out to people, teach them what's going on in the world, teach them objective morality, we have to have those skills under our belt, and we have to encourage others to develop them, because if we're going to get that word out about what's going on regarding human freedom, we're going to do that technologically. We're not going to write on, with quill pens on paper, on parchment, and, fold it up and mail it out to people. We have to get this out in the modern technological way, and that is communicating and publishing, via the internet. So, to that effect, I think there's no better, course of action than helping to create more content creators by teaching them the skill sets that they need. And that's what led to my How to Become the True Media course, which I still continue today.
All right. So what season are you in? Because you've been teaching that for like 2 or 3 years, right?
Yeah, we've done 3, years of it, and this year is going to be the 4th year of the How to Become the True Media seminar. We're going to open up enrollment in April, and hoping to get a big enrollment this year, so that people can, build these skill sets and learn the basics of, content creation and online publishing. That's basically what the course is about. I help people get over, their hesitation with technology. I help people get over, their feelings of inadequacy and incompetence with it, and I build them to a place of basic competence with computers, mostly desktop and laptop systems, where you can actually create and publish content in an efficient way. And, those are the skill sets that we teach in the seminar. We start at very introductory computing skill sets, from things as basic as the file system, and then go all the way up to web creation and web publishing.
It's like a boot camp to be productive for super nerds, because you do kind of have to be a super nerd.
I prefer the term geek, but
okay. Yeah.
Point is well understood. Yes.
Is it 23 weeks? How long does it go?
23 weeks, 3 hours each week of actual course instruction. So it's a 3-hour meeting that I host on Telegram each week. And that goes for 23 weeks. We also have 1 hour of, basic, pre-class discussion, and people can ask questions. And then after the 3 hours of instruction, we break up in an informal discussion group and do that for at least another couple of hours post-class.
All right. So when I said freedom is a super marathon, it's not a sprint, Mark is proving it, because I have a course for the Intrepid. It's only 12 weeks of training. And Mark's course goes way beyond that because he's teaching you there's things that you need to know in general. That's kind of what I teach. There's things you need to know in specific about IT and publishing and all this sort of stuff. I don't know how to do that, but I hire people who go through Mark's course and have that qualification because they're super useful, indispensable, like not interchangeable part people. They're people you want to know. They're people you want to be. If you don't have a skill set, know how to make your offer to the market. Start with amassing a very useful skill set that is right next to a bunch of people who are in the midst of precipitating money with YouTube ads and all this other stuff that influencers are doing. They're getting paid per click type of stuff, right? Not your average run-of-the-mill producer like us, but there's a lot of influencers out there that don't have the business acumen, the tech acumen to support the interest in their products or services. So go be useful to them. And if you are looking for a little more exchange of value for value, the freedom community also needs these skills. But we can't pay the top dollar a lot of times because there's people out there who are raking in a lot of money. They do have it. So just get the skill set. You can go work for them, or you can go work for other freedom-minded people. Or maybe working for some of those influencers allows you to give time to Benny or Mark or Jay or somebody and help them out with, you appreciate their content. Now you can pay it back with skills. Now you can pay it back with things that money can't buy. And those are essential elements to a human relationship that's built over time. So, yeah, that's the gist. Is I want you guys to see that any of these speakers are like, we're all just regular people. We have human foibles. We don't get it right every time, but the consistent thing is we do learn with integrity and continue striving toward a more freedom-based lifestyle, which means less coercion on other people as we go through life. That's it. It's just about being moral and living in integrity with who you are as your true self, and getting to know thyself along that way. Mark, your work has been like, it's paramount in helping people go through these rites of passage of knowledge of self and our environment, because only then can we really work in harmony with the environment. What is the biggest challenge that you faced along the way, aside from amassing the knowledge that you and experience that you have, and getting this out to the public and getting them to hear what you're saying?
I guess some of the biggest challenges is actually trying to get people past informationally what they believe certain concepts are. One of the hardest things that I've ever really had to do is to teach people to unlearn what they were told about what Satanism is. And, that's one of the biggest challenges. I mean, I've had people tell me, a former priest within the Church of Satan who realized that this was a slavery system and then started whistleblowing upon, the whole ideology of Satanism and the religion of it as something that is inculcating people into its mental way of seeing the world, its worldview. I have had people tell me who have had no dealings in any way with any formerly organized satanic groups or networks that they know more about Satanism than an actual clergy member within the Church of Satan. And it's unbelievable the job that Hollywood will do upon the mind, that they convince people that structures and institutions of our world work the way Hollywood tells them that they work. And they won't take the information firsthand from a person who was involved directly in a network and in institutions like that. And that's one of the biggest challenges that I have ever faced is erasing the Hollywoodized variant that exists in people's mind of what Satanism is and attempting to explain to them what the actual ideology of Satanism is and how it is just about omnipresent in every sector of our entire society. And that's been one of the biggest challenges. The second biggest challenge is getting people to actually activate themselves and take action based upon their own level of knowledge. And most of the time that is almost always due to technological ignorance that I've noticed. When people don't have technological adequacy, when they don't have technological competency, they tend to balk at the idea, whether they even have good communication and public speaking skills or not. They tend to balk at the idea of attempting to put content out into the world through internet publishing. They don't want to have to go through the often painful process, admittedly, but if you build on your skill set slowly over time, it becomes less painful and it goes faster, it accelerates. They just don't want to begin the building of those skill sets. It's very, very difficult to get people motivated to do that because they see it in their mind as an almost insurmountable task. As you were saying earlier, they see it as like an uncrossable sea. What I try to do is allay some of those really deep-seated concerns in their mind and show them that if they just apply themselves and they work hard at it and they practice. It's not something you just sit in on a few sessions and you know how to do. You must practice. You must invest the time. And it's a difficult process getting people to commit in a way to do that. But I'll tell you what, when it works, when people do commit to it, I've seen them go an extremely long way in a short amount of time. So it's proof that it is possible. But that's one of the biggest challenges. That's probably my second biggest challenge, other than the informational challenges of getting people to really deeply and fully understand what's going on in our world from an occult perspective. The second biggest challenge is getting people to activate and activate with a developed skill set. And I think, that's what the How to Become the True Media seminar came along, because I felt that was so important that I needed to make inroads in that regard and teach people those actual skill sets. So, as we said, we're moving into the fourth year. The seminar is going very well. I've gotten really nothing but very positive reviews from people and testimonials from people who took the course over the last 3 years. And it's so important. I'm taking that 6 months out of the year and doing just that, because I think helping to create other content creators is one of the most important things that any content creator can do.
Yeah, it's our form of putting the ladder down behind us so other people can come up too.
That's
and
right.
I think that a lot of what you're describing is from the demoralization in the audience, and they just lack self-esteem to have enough respect to go get some skills that they can go better interact with the market. So once we help repair their mindset, which is something that people, anyone attending today, there's links at the end. You can get the free mindset course that we did a couple weeks ago, because that's how you kind of unlock your potential in the first place. You're not going to do it with negative self-talk, learned helplessness, provisional self-esteem, these other things that we've been inculcated with for so many decades during our lifetime. All right, so both of you hang on. Benny and Mark are going to hang out. We're going to do a quick 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back for the Q&A panel. You guys will be able to ask your questions, and we'll have a short discussion. And then I'd like to invite both of you back as Autonomy guest speakers during this upcoming season, because I know my audience has deeper questions and are going to need some more time. So I'd like to put that on the schedule starting now. I came up with that idea a couple seconds ago. I think that's a good way to progress through, because conveying the value of, look, what we do might look special because we've done it a long time, and that makes an artificial barrier to your entry that doesn't really exist. And if we can bring that down and keep it real and say, look, we learn these things slowly over time in a direction of freedom and liberty and morality and integrity, you can do likewise, because it's a super marathon. Like, what else do we have to do except, avoid the calamity of the precipitating events that immoral, demoralized people are pushing out there. So thank you also at this point to the control room, Mission Control, and everyone pushing buttons on the other end, Joshua, Hale, Cody, Stephanie, Leah, everybody who helped make this happen. Let's go to a quick break while we bring in the speaker mode, the Q&A mode of this, and then we'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back. This is the juicy and tasty Q&A phase. Now, for this trick, we're going to have Joshua Hale facilitate us by reading questions, because I can't see all the stuff from here. Joshua, do we have a question from the audience for either Mark or Benny?
Hey,
or both?
I see you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Hey,
So,
Joshua.
how do you know when to give up on a relationship or compromise in a professional setting? Just dive right into the deep end.
That's a good question. What do you guys have to say?
I think when it starts becoming a one-way cannibalistic scenario, maybe is probably a good answer. When there's not a give and take in that relationship anymore, when it becomes unbalanced and it's just in a one-way direction with everything, that's probably my best answer to that. Is you have to be wary of what people might call energy vampirism or psychic vampirism. That would be my basic answer to that.
I ditto. And when it's no longer constructive, and when you can feel that someone is holding you back, and honestly, when people are just too stuck in their own victim consciousness, when they are complaining too much and blaming too much, it can really have an effect. And that's when I have to put up my own sort of energetic line with people when they're in that place of complaining and not doing. That's when I know I have to start distancing myself somewhat.
I'll add a small addendum that you have to kind of also be careful of two kinds of people. Grifters who just, come along and try to get whatever they can for their own purposes, and they're not really interested in a mutually beneficial relationship. And, wild-eyed dreamers is another thing, and people may not even, expect to hear somebody say something like that. But you have people with ideas that are very impracticable and waste a lot of energy and don't really move the goalpost forward. They don't move forward to the goal. They kind of come up with things that take a lot of energy and don't really go anywhere. You have to be very wary of that as well.
And then I'm going to chime in on this one just because for me, there was a very specific line. Like when people were doing things illegal and I was working with them, I was like, that's bad. And I'm trying to do something about it. I experienced retaliation. When it came to the point that what they were doing, I could be held liable for and go to prison too. That's where I had to become a whistleblower and file the paperwork and, go through the process, which took years and years, and it destroyed a multi-million-dollar career. So I don't recommend doing that. So the answer is, these people that you want to stay away from, they're disconnected or dissociated from morality/reality. If their expectations are unrealistic, they're not going to be delivering with integrity. They can't keep their word, even if they're well-intentioned. In the case of working with people who are intentionally immoral and they're fine with it because that's how they make their living in life, I suggest you having self-respect, either taking your skills or go someplace else and build skills, because you're not going to do anything there except swim with sharks.
Thanks for not sugarcoating it. That was really valuable information, and I'm going to keep this going. How can someone choose a new career when they have multiple talents? And what are some tips on transitioning from their current career into that?
In other words, people want this nice idea that they'll have a side hustle and they'll smoothly transition into it. But in reality, most people lose their job for one reason or another. They go into it unplanned, right? And none of us got to where we are because of direct planning. We're all off the path, beaten off the path type of people. So we got beat off the path, and then we figured our way how to go through and trailblaze and bushwhack and find our own destination in life. So what do you guys think?
Well, I don't know if I have the best advice on that, because I basically leave myself no option but to succeed at the new thing. And I don't know if that is applicable to everyone.
Still burn your ships at the shore.
I basically just go from that thing to this thing. And what I'm getting better at now as I get older is not giving up on the thing that I jumped to. So for me, it's basically giving myself no option but to succeed at the new thing. And leap and the net will appear has been one of my favorite quotes all throughout my adult life. And I just go all in on the new endeavor when it feels right, not just when it's like I could do this. No. I know this will work. Therefore, I'm going to give myself the only option is successful.
And then to bridge this gap and be clear, the leap of faith that we all take is in ourself and our ability to learn and grow and adapt and evolve into the situation. Go ahead, Mark.
I was actually just going to bring up that very point, Richard. One of the things that I've spoken out against the most in my philosophical work is belief and just having faith in an external source. Everybody who knows my work knows that I'm against organized religion and organized religious dogma, because it has really badly colored a lot of people's worldview and taught them things that are just erroneous and untrue. And, but what I'm going to say today seemingly contradicts that, because I think the best way to go about any type of a transition is with the simple belief in your own abilities, meaning that you do have to first develop skill sets that will give you a nice foundation of competence and confidence. Once you have those two things, you can believe in yourself. You're not believing in any externalized power source. You're realizing you have the tools and the ability to take whatever endeavor you're going to get involved in and move that forward into the future successfully. So I would say faith in oneself is required, but I'll add one other addendum. You have to be doing it in the sense of true right behavior, right livelihood, right action, and putting the truth out into the world. And when you do those things, the universe itself is going to come to your assistance and make sure that you're not just going to be dead in the water, and it's going to help you move yourself forward. So it's not intention, it's the actual action. The actual behavior has to be oriented toward true objective morality and true right. When you have that alignment, and you then have the skill sets, the confidence, the competence, nothing in the world is going to stop you from succeeding in that endeavor, because the universe will have your back.
And I think the key to the moral and ethical parts are that a lot of people are well-intentioned, but if their actions don't match up with that intention, it's an ineffective ethic.
Correct.
So getting your morals and ethics and integrity in line with that which exists, objective reality, and then finding our place in it, and then insulating ourselves from the ill powers and the ill effects of what has been going on since the beginning of written human history. So we're not going to get rid of it right now, but we need to learn how to be self-reliant and autonomous, and then find the others that we can work with. Because as you know, you can't work with others if you're a weak individual. You're just going to be a draw on their creativity. But if you can learn how to bring uber value to that situation, you're going to be welcome, and you're going to be integrated, and you're going to have lifelong purpose if you so choose a goal that has that type of longevity. Go ahead, Joshua.
This is a good piggyback question. How can someone have the courage to fight for what they believe in without the fear of consequence for themselves or loved ones, and should they?
I'll jump in on that one and say that they absolutely should, and that the love and care for the truth and that which is right has to come before any even commitment to an individual or a group of individuals. And that is a very, very difficult thing for people to accept. That literally doing the right thing means that you or other people around you may have to suffer in the immediate sense and make sacrifices in the immediate sense. Most people won't agree with that. They won't try to live like that. They're because it's a fear-based mindset that they're in. But see, when you stay latched onto a fear-based mindset, literally the field of energy and consciousness around us doesn't really respect that energy. It's one of the most difficult things to teach to people and get them to actually viscerally feel in their lives, that the universe itself actually respects courage over cowardice. And the answer isn't an easy one, but it is a simple one. You have to be first committed to principles and morality. When that comes first, anything you do, regardless of the short-term consequences that may be toward the negative, is going to eventually transition to positive long-term consequences. And I can't prove that in the moment to people. They have to do it, and then they'll see that that is true.
The biggest obstacle in anyone's path is themselves. Period. It's not the New World Order. It's not the World Economic Forum. It's you. And no matter what you do and no matter what you say, there's always going to be someone or some people who don't like it. Particularly friends and family. Overcoming the fear of what other people will think is the number one fear almost everyone has to overcome. So you have to just be able to work in spite of yourself and accept that some people aren't going to like it. And no matter, and literally, it could be about anything. You could talk about the perfect way to build a chimney. There's going to be a handful of people who are like, no. It just comes with the territory. When you speak up, you're going to get backlash, period. You have to be able to learn how to let it roll off your back and not affect your mission.
And I'd like to add that when we blame others for the situation that's going on, let's say we say it's Bill Gates and George Soros or whoever, right? People blame other people. Now, I recognize those people have ill consequences and precipitate on people. But when we take self-responsibility, it's only then that we can find solutions, because otherwise you're always waiting for that other party that you're blaming to resolve the situation. And so like Jocko Willink has that book, Extreme Ownership. So once you start to take extreme ownership over your life, and if you don't want to be a slave, you better learn how to take extreme ownership over your life. There's more responsibility that we need to take care of than we were prepared for through the indoctrination system, because it's not an education. It was schooling to participate in their game. And if you don't like their game and you want to outgrow their status quo, you're going to need to change yourself from within. And then that flourishes the people around you. It invigorates and gives them vitality when you make those changes. Not everyone's going to like it, but the ones who don't like it are the ones who are resigned to their quiet desperation. They are demoralized and they're not looking to be remoralized. You can remoralize yourself by saying it's not PTSD, right? It's not damage. It's post-traumatic growth, and you can become anti-fragile. You can learn to take each and every one of these stimuli and use it to your betterment to make you stronger. And the more haters you have, the stronger you're going to get. Or you can choose to be a wilting violet, a shrinking violet, to shrivel up like a flower out in the sun without water. And that's what it's like without this knowledge and skills and the experience and the community that comes with all these things that we've all enjoyed for many years. And we're hoping to open that door so more of you see that you can do likewise, or assist other people doing likewise, or be stronger, better audience members assisting in these endeavors of freedom.
Really valuable. Thank you. Here's one last question. This one's a big one, and it'd be good to hear from Mark, your perspective, Richard, your perspective, and Benny, for you to chime in too. How can one transition away from working for corporations that don't share their same values and principles and paying taxes to help with the great work while being able to provide for themselves and their family?
That's a tough one because it's going to take time. Don't expect to do that immediately. You have to put your content out there and build a following, build an audience that's going to want to contribute based on the value that you have put out there. The real answer to that is to begin, not to sit back and wait for the perfect situation. There is no such thing as the perfect situation. It's why in How to Become the True Media course, I teach one of the main tenets that I teach is perfection is the enemy of good. There is no perfect piece of content. There's no perfect individual. If you're waiting for perfection, you're waiting forever. If you're waiting for the perfect situation, you'll be waiting forever. The answer to that is begin. Begin knowing that you are going to be going into doing the right moral thing. Make sure that your actions are aligned with correct objective morality and moral principles, number one. Just begin, and then you will see if you stay with it, if you are persistent. That's another tenet of the course that I teach. Persistence, dedication, sacrifice. You have to continue. You don't just put out something and then say, oh, well, I didn't get a big audience and nobody's listening, and then give up. If you're the kind of person that gives up, you will not go far in this field of endeavor. You have to be tenacious. You have to be totally persistent and keep pushing forward. When you do that, you're going to see the results snowball larger and larger and larger. And before you know it, you'll be able to transition smoothly away from those traditional institutions and to a way of living that is in more full harmony with natural law and objective reality, and is away from all of those systems of control that we've all been trapped into, and inculcated into in our lives since the day that we were born. It's right alignment, okay, with objective morality, and then it's persistence and dedication and sacrifice. Should that be required, you have to be willing to make those sacrifices to do it, and just stay the course. When you do that, you're going to see your efforts are going to pay off long term.
Yeah, as a teacher or coach, we know that once you have learned that you don't quit on yourself, we can be confident that you'll be successful. And so learning not to quit on ourselves, right? And the other part that Mark mentioned is the self-initiation, the self-starting. Get started, acquire universal skills that are universally valued. Anywhere on the planet, high-value skills. Get some of those under your belt. And then move forward with plans of action, because it's going to open more doors to what you want to do once you have a stronger skill set of experience, some good contacts with good references and testimonials, whatever you need to do what you are looking to do in the world. It's going to take more steps. And the question about that transition, it's going to happen. Those corporations don't love you. It's not gold watch, 25-year pension, whatever the thing was when we were growing up. It is you either make a plan to transition out of that, or they will unscheduled meeting your life away, and your family could lose like the house, and the kids lose the school or the college or whatever. So start making better plans than we were prepared to do on our own. That's the gist.
Benny, you want to chime in?
I'd have to have you repeat the question.
How can one transition from a job they don't like into and still be able to provide for their family?
Well, I think, I mean, these guys answered it so well. I think you just have to take the first step. Once you take a first step, you're in motion. When you're in motion, you can keep going. The worst thing is to not make any change at all. So, once you start taking action and you start focusing and you decide to change and you decide to start reaching for something and living for the greater calling or a higher purpose, the ideas will come to you and the solutions will arrive. You will figure it out. But you have to take the first step. You just have, I mean, it can be small, it can be big, but you will find your way as long as you're committed to it.
Extremely valuable. Thank you guys so much for this inside look. Mark, someone asked, when is your next seminar? And then Benny, go ahead and share your next event too.
Yes, How to Become the True Media begins July 10th, 2023, and goes until December 11th, 2023. It's a 6-month course, 23 individual course sessions weekly. And enrollment opens up April 1st at midnight. So you can go to howtobecomthetruemedia.com, click the enrollment link. That'll put you through to my gifts area of my main website, whatonearthishappening.com, where you can get all my philosophy information and all of my presentations. But course enrollment for this year opens April 1st at midnight at howtobecomthetruemedia.com.
Mark your calendars for that one. Go ahead, Benny. When's the next season of Parhesia starting?
Yeah. So
and did you
registration
reverse the
is gonna
course?
be-
How did you change it from last time?
Well, so yeah, you can buy the course now and you can do a sort of DIY approach and join the ongoing workshop / discussion / Q&A that I have every week. So it's kind of like you do it at your own pace and you join the group on the weekends. And I'll be, again, opening registration at the end of the month for the next round of this. But in the meantime, I have a free PDF that's available to anyone. It's called How to Talk to Anyone About Anything. And if there's like show notes, there's an email that goes out after this. That's the best way to also find out about when the next season of Parhesia is, because once you get the PDF, which is free, you'll be on my mailing list and you'll be privy to all the information about what the next thing is and when it's going to start.
Excellent. Outstanding. I'm really glad that that you got the showcase for your value to the world and that you developed it around the same time Mark came out with his course and you guys have been thriving. Now, real quick, what kind of technical help do you need sometimes to get this done? Because you're a creative person. You don't know how to I don't know how to push all the buttons or do all the things anymore either. And this is a good thing because we get to focus on the highest and best value of our time. How's that worked out, not wearing 15 hats for yourself and having some people around that are competent?
Well, I'm always looking for ways to buy back some of my time. So I've gotten pretty good at some things because I needed to. But I could use some help in marketing and social media influence. If anybody out there has a leg up on how to really make posts be seen, and how to do basically online marketing, that's my number 1 and 2 objectives right now, which I don't know how to do. I can do the editing, I can do the production, I can do the course and help people. But when it comes to the more the business, online business type of stuff, I'm kind of always looking for new ways and looking for help.
Right on. And Mark, what are the hot spots for you? What type of skills could people be out there acquiring that are really valuable to people like us? Aside from point to what's in your course, of course.
Sure. I run an operation where I have a lot of computers in here, and I always need desktop troubleshooting help in-house. Now, I came from that background. I didn't get into earlier that after I was involved in the internet industry, I actually became a technical troubleshooter and was a successful technical troubleshooter for several years. So I can do those skills as well. So not only do I have the creative skills, I also have the technical troubleshooting skills. The problem is when problems come up in-house and I have to troubleshoot those things, I can't get to my creative work. I sort of have to stop and then fix the technical problem. So what I really need in-house is a technical troubleshooter that can handle any technical problems when they come up so that I can allocate my personal resources to content creation. That's the main thing that I need in-house.
All right. Mark at whatonearthishappening.com, if that's you out there in the audience. Mark, Benny, thank you guys so much for carving out an important part of this afternoon and for over delivering, as you both do always. That's why you're here for the kickoff. Thank you guys, and you're welcome to hang out, but you're off the hook for now.
Thank you so
more-
much, Richard. Thank you,
Oh,
Joshua.
there's
Been a
one more
pleasure.
question.
Thanks, guys.
There's some more questions in the webinar Q&A if you want to stick around a little bit and keep answering some questions. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time. And next up, we have an interview with John Bush.